Dear friends, grace, mercy, and peace be with you from God our Creator and from Christ who is our light. Amen. In Victor Hugo's epic novel, Les Miserables, that has been immortalized as a stage musical and later as a film, it happens to be one of my favorite musicals. In this story, the protagonist, Jean Valjean, has been paroled after serving 19 years for stealing bread to feed his starving family. He carries the documents and shame of an ex-con wherever he goes, and he is unable to get work to provide for himself and his family. All anyone can see in him is a criminal. He finally ends up hungry and defeated, sleeping outside of a house. And when he is discovered there, he is offered hospitality by the bishop and the staff who reside in that house. Valjean sees the bishop's kindness as merely a temporary reprieve, and in his desperation, steals as much silver from the bishop's house as he can carry. When he is caught and returned to the house, the bishop shows surprising mercy and covers up his crime in the presence of the authorities by saying, "You left without taking the candlesticks as well." And when the constables release Valjean, the bishop has these parting words for him. "But remember this, my brother. See in this some higher plan. You must use this precious silver to become an honest man. By the witness of the martyrs, by the passion and the blood, God has raised you out of darkness. I have bought your soul for God." Two responses to the same event. The authorities see a criminal who must be sent back to prison. The bishop sees something else, a brother with a future made possible by God's forgiveness, by God's raising one out of darkness. And here this morning, in this story from Matthew, we have two responses to the same event, which includes a child, a star, and foreign visitors. The three magi, wise ones from far away, the east, in other words, the other side of the known world. These people, we don't know that it was three, it could have been more, are led by a star to come and see for themselves this thing that has happened. And Herod, close by, but he cannot see, who is frightened and his power threatened by this one born in lowly Bethlehem. The Magi come with gifts, if for royalty. They are astrologers and of a different religion altogether. Herod, however, is the ruthless puppet king, a traitorous dictator left in power by the emperor to keep his own Jewish people in line by any means necessary. And of all things, a baby terrifies Herod, and he must act to preserve his power. According to Matthew, the birth of Jesus is received as both a promise and a threat. The wise ones show a bit of naivete when they stop in Jerusalem to pay their respects to Herod before continuing their journey a few miles away to the child. This is not a children's story. Okay, so now would be a good time to bring out the earmuffs or some kind of distraction for your children. Okay, Herod could have had the Magi imprisoned or executed. They were foreigners. He could do whatever he wanted with them. But instead, with a sinister wisdom of his own, seeks to employ these outsiders to help him find the child so that he might have the child destroyed. After the wise ones visit Jesus, they are about to return to Herod, but are warned in a dream of Herod's evil intentions and return to their own country by another road. Herod, of course, is enraged, and to ensure the child's destruction, he orders the murder of all children under the age of 2. But according to Matthew, Joseph too has a dream, and he escapes with Jesus and Mary to Egypt. We enter a great season of light defiantly. In the darkest day of the year was just a couple weeks ago, and the world is still in need of one to enlighten its darkness. So we gather and defiantly remind each other of the world's need for light. And we point to the true light that is Christ. And we hope that we might just be able to bear a little bit of that light for the sake of the world. Epiphany comes from the word that means to make known or to reveal. Christ being made known to the world, represented by the wise ones from the east, is a beautiful story. But it is set in a harsh reality of violence and the struggle for power. The light of Christ is made known to the world, and yet even the most brilliant light does not take away the brokenness and the differences that we see around us. There's another story about light, a wonderful story told about a rabbi who gathered her students together very early one morning while it was still dark to have a conversation. She put the question to them, how can you tell when night has ended and the day has begun? One of the students made a suggestion. Could it be when you see an animal and you can tell whether it is a sheep or a goat? No, that's not it, answered the rabbi. Another student said, could it be when you look at a tree in the distance and you can tell whether it's a fig tree or a peach tree? Again, the rabbi said, nope. After a few more guesses, the student said, well, how do you tell when night has ended? The rabbi answered, it's when you look on the face of any person and you see them as your brother or sister. If you cannot do this, then no matter what time it is still night. This is a story that challenges us to see more clearly, to align ourselves with a light that is not our own. But what's missing from it, but is not missing from Matthew's story, is what God does in response to the problem of perpetual darkness. God gives the light, and we struggle to live in it. In the Christ child, in the adult child, in the crucified and risen one, God creates a light that is for the whole world. We can get tripped up by this light. Instead of trusting the light, even seeking and longing for the light, we risk claiming the light for ourselves, that it's ours. We are tempted to see the light as an exclusive gift given only to us and people like us, a gift to some and not to others. We know this world all too well. We see it all around us, even see it in the church. Sometimes the people of God go off track altogether and make the shameful and preposterous claims about what God is up to, like suggesting that tornadoes or bridge collapses or school shootings are signs of God's wrath or judgment or punishment, as if ours were a Lord of darkness and not of the light. Matthew was pretty clear in depicting a God who in Christ crossed every possible barrier to reveal the salvation, love, forgiveness, and acceptance that is for the whole world, not just for some. This is the point of Epiphany. In Christ, God's love is extended to the ends of the earth. We do not have to say how it happens. We simply trust in the light of God revealed in Christ. Anne Lamott, the writer, shared a story some years ago about why she made her son Sam go to worship. Some of you have probably heard this story. The main reason, she writes, is to give him what I found in the world, which is to say a path and a little light to see by. The people of faith she has come to know, she writes, have found a brighter star than the glimmer of their own candle. They are part of something beautiful. Sometimes it seems that the light is barely bright enough to see by, But we trust that beyond the glimmers of our own candles is a promise that cannot be taken away. Not by Herod, not by some pompous leader, not by anyone or anything. We continue to light our Christ candles with the bold hope that the light of Christ will illumine every dark corner of our lives. And not only this, but that it will bring light and hope to every corner of the world. Welcome to the light. Amen.